Welcome to Arts First, the podcast that stands for freedom of expression in the arts and art for art's sake. I'm Niall Crowley. As you probably gathered from the music, this is our story of the Christmas Carol continued. This is part 4, but they're not in any chronological order really, so after part 1 it doesn't matter too much where you begin. The music was recorded at Waterloo Station, where Mick happened to stumble upon the London Philharmonic Orchestra entertaining commuters. And he also recorded a wonderful choir performing at Vauxhall Station. Aren't we lucky we have such joyous entertainments at Christmas? So, part 4, we said we wanted to interview friends and colleagues and ask them what Christmas carols mean to them now or in their past, and if they have any favourites. And that's what we do here. We start off with a conversation between Mick and an old colleague, David Adam. You might remember David from our episode on the Paris Olympics opening ceremony earlier this year. David played a key role in the London bid back in 2013. David rejoins us to talk about his very talented musical family and their impressive sounding family carol concert that they're staging for their loved ones this Christmas. Then we catch up with some dear old friends at a very merry annual Christmas party somewhere in North London. So, we hope you enjoy it. Thank you again to everyone who took part, and thank you for listening to this episode and throughout the year. Have a great Christmas and a Happy New Year, and we'll see you next year.
Hello, my name's Dave Adam. I like Christmas carols. Good man, yes. So what does Christmas mean for you? How does the music feature in your upcoming Christmas? Well, as you know, I've got many musicians in my family. I've got 3 sons, all of whom are guitar playing, piano playing, and gifted musicians. And my wife is also a piano player, and she's in a choir. We haven't got together for a long time and done anything like this. But the other day I was with my son, Cosmo, and he was just gone up to Birmingham, actually, for an audition to get into Birmingham Conservatoire, which he got, which is good news. And we came out, and Birmingham had turned Christmas on early. So it got us talking. There's Christmas trees everywhere. And we thought, oh, what shall we do for Christmas? And we thought, my wife loves to sing. Cosmo is more than capable as an arranger. So he said, let's work out a carol that she really loves, and I'll create some harmonies for it. And because my wife's a brilliant harmonizer, she doesn't really need to hear it more than once. We'll rehearse it, is what he said, and then we'll just say, you're ready to go, and she'll sing along. So that's the plan. So then the question is, of course, what we're going to sing. Well, he said to me, what's your favourite Christmas carol? Now, my favourite one comes from an old album that I had as a child, the Disney Christmas Favourites. And it's the hopes and fears, and it's got this kind of there's a moment on there, I don't know if it's Mickey or I don't know if it's Jiminy Cricket that sings it, that just suddenly goes, and fears of all the years. And as a boy, I used to sit and listen to that, and it just sounded like Christmas wherever it was taking place. And so I said to him, I'd like that. And then I thought, well, why don't we do something else that she would like? She loves a good Christmas carol or a good hymn, so there'll be something kind of Catholic traditional like that. And then I said, well, let's balance that out with something pagan as well. So we're going to try and do a full arc of time to see if we can get on with it. But that's the plan, and all good plans.
So you're a musical family. Do you have that traditional moment when you would all sit around together at Christmas time and make some music together?
When they were younger, there'll probably be like a kind of a party atmosphere where someone would play the piano, get the guitars out and sing. But we haven't done that for a long time. But partly why we were coming up with this idea was
let's try and institute it. Let's try and institute a tradition.
Yeah.
We're capable. We all enjoy ourselves when we do play music together. Once the squabbling's over and we listen to what my wife says that we should do. So why not try and create a tradition? Christmas seems to me all about creating new traditions, and if it's good enough for the Victorians, it's good enough for us to invent new stuff.
So Christmas caroling as invented by the Victorians, and now you plan to reinvent your own tradition.
And we just thought, yeah, it'd be fun to do it in the home. And if we do end up having a gathering, you know, maybe we can start the singing and people can join in if there's enough sherry. I don't know if we're going to be able to make it happen because you've got to pull the family from all the four corners, haven't you, to kind of get it together. But in our mind right now, it sounds like a great idea. Perhaps I should report back if we pull it off. But when the boys were young, we would go to Mass and they would perform in Mass. So one song that my eldest son sang as part of the Christmas Mass was Once in Royal David City, which was very beautiful. When he had a beautiful angelic voice at the age of 8 or 9, and it was only gifted to one child who was going to sing this song as the procession left. So that was always a really special moment. And maybe we might do a song that reminds us, it's this nostalgia, isn't it, that reminds you of the good times.
So Catholic family going to the Catholic church.
Yeah.
So when is the Christmas performance typically in the Catholic church?
It's Christmas Eve, usually. They would bring the children from the Catholic primary school and bring them all up for the evening, the Christmas Eve service beforehand. And then late Christmas Eve, Catholics love nothing more than to get down to midnight Mass after the pub. I'm not Catholic, but I was integrated into it via moments like that, actually, of my brother-in-law saying to me, right, drink up, we've got to go to Mass, and then get down there and belting out a few carols or something. And then that was the kind of part of the ritual. So having been raised in a Protestant tradition, I found that very rewarding.
And so you mentioned the idea of doing a pagan song.
Yes.
So tell me about pagan songs in Christmas time.
Well, this isn't specifically a pagan song, but you know, Steel Eye Span, All Around My Hat. So they've had that music. Their grandmother loved to listen to all that kind of folk stuff. And two of the boys were singing it in the kitchen the other day. And just because they'd been in their lives, they suddenly realized, oh my God, we know the harmonies to this. They started harmonizing. And my wife walked in and she was like, what's this? And she started harmonizing along with them. So I said, well, we might as well throw that in as a kind of pre-Christian kind of sound. So it's not particularly Christmassy. But there is something in that folk sound that feels nostalgic as well, isn't it? That's kind of why I thought that might fit the arc.
I mean, I think it's fair to say that, you know, that in terms of the season, you know, the idea of celebrating the midwinter moments and the festival character of Christmas, that the line between the sacred and the everyday is pretty blurred, actually, and that there's a point at which the caroling tradition, which is not particularly associated with the church, becomes appropriated and becomes a part of the Christian service. So in mixing the different dimensions, you're doing something which is capturing something of Christmas.
True. I think you're absolutely right about this moment, actually, in which we've got the increasing secularization. We've got fewer of those regular calendar moments. And so Christmas is an easy one for us to look to and say, oh, we can do this now. And then throw in some of the kind of popular moments to give it its own flavor. But I think there's a desire in people to do that. As human beings, we need ritual. We need to mark the passing of time. And if you don't have a regular totem around which to do that, it starts to blend into one. So another one that's just made me think of there, which you'd probably be familiar with, the Beatles used to release these crazy Christmas records. I loved the Beatles growing up, and then one day when I thought I'd listened to all the Beatles songs, I found the Christmas records or something like that, which is just them goofing off as always, doing kind of goon show level sketch, singing Merry Christmas to their fans. I like that kind of goofiness that you can have around that, and it brings, again, it's nostalgia. They're all about nostalgia as well for me now.
Yeah. And also that just the idea of coming together. I mean, you're talking about the idea of the family coming together, and in your case, singing, but it could be about dancing together. It could be
100%.
putting on your favorite record and all getting up and dancing in the living room.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's so much traditions actually that we have done over the years. All of the children's grandparents or parents loved Christmas, and they kind of instituted their own things that they did. And many of them are gone now, but part of our job at the moment is to reinstitute some of those things, or I mean, create new ones.
Yeah.
And dancing sounds good. Certainly after a wee dram.
Can I come?
Absolutely. Well, we've sung together, so it would be good. We could, I'll get Cosmo to write a harmony part for you.
Good man. All right. Thank you very much,
good.
Dave.
In his master's steps he trod, where the snow lay tinted. It was in the very sod which the saint had printed. Therefore Christian men he shows, well her and confessing, ye who now witness the Lord, shall yourselves find blessing.
My name's Alison and I'm from Birmingham but live in London.
I'm Rachel Jordan, I'm an artist and I'm from Essex.
What's your favourite carol? Have you got a favourite one? And
I don't have a favourite one. I love carols, but carols always make me cry. So whenever I hear carols, whether it's in a church or whether it's in a shopping centre, I cry. They remind me of being a kid. And I think carols are really, really important at Christmas. So one of my favourite memories of singing carols was when I was little, on Christmas Eve, my dad and other dads in the street would always take the kids out and we'd go knocking on doors, singing carols, collecting money for charity. I can't remember what charity as it happens, but we would collect money and all of the mums would stay at home peeling the potatoes and peeling the carrots. And I never realised at the time that it was a deliberate thing to get the husbands and the kids out of the way for the wives who were cooking. But we would go around with instruments as well. So somebody would always bring a recorder or something and we'd go and sing, and it was all the big deep male voices and then all the kids trying. We'd have our sheet music and then we'd end up in somebody's house and have mince pies at the end. This was when I was about 6 or 7, I remember. But it was very, very happy and really good fun. And it was Christmas Eve, so really exciting because Christmas Day was nearly there. And I think that's why I cry, just because it reminds me of being a very young child having loads of fun with the dads. Yeah.
Rachel, did you ever knock on doors and sing carols for money?
As a teenager with some friends from school, or we did do a charity, carol singing from door to door. But generally, I think it's more that wherever you were in childhood, whether you're at school or Girl Guides, whatever organisation I was in, there was always a carol service to go to. I think for me, it's the fact that every carol has a different feel to it. Some are sort of contemplative, some are joyful, some tell have a specific moral message. You know, for me, Good King Wenceslas is one of my favourites. I mean, I really like the lyrics. You know, it sort of sets this wintry scene. You know, it's about thinking about the poor and also helping the poor. Let's say I'm an atheist, but I still relate to those Christian messages of, you know, goodwill to all men.
So I'm Alka Sagal-Cuthbert. I am an educator, a mum and director of Don't Divide Us. Carols never had a particular presence in my household growing up. We did celebrate Christmas, but it was the tree, the lights and presents. I remember carols from school mainly at Nativity, and they were always fun. They were always lovely, lovely tunes. And then for a long time, from adolescence to late adulthood, carols didn't really figure at all. And then as an older adult, carols featured sort of more regularly on an annual basis at Christmas when I would started attending church more regularly. And they were lovely, and some carols always make me cry, like Silent Night and In the Bleak Midwinter. I love the tunes. The melody is very beautiful, quite simple, and I think the simplicity of the message, because I think there's just this sort of Silent Night to kind of quietness, and In the Bleak Midwinter it's Mary's gift is the kiss of the mother, so it was kind of very divine in the human, human level. I love the other ones, the joyful, triumphant ones as well, and possibly the Coventry Carol, which I love. But these ones particularly, I think, are meaningful.
My sister used to go and sing in the pub on Christmas Day, carols, and collect money again. I never gave up my Christmas Day to go and sing. I wasn't that good. There was one evening when I was a teenager, probably 14, 15, and me and a group of girlfriends decided to go carol singing, and one of my friends played the flute, so we went out with the flute. It was cold, and we went to all the biggest houses that we could find, thinking they'd give us the most money. So we were raising for charity again, and one of the houses that we knocked on, this boy about our age answered the door and said, "Who are you?" And we were like, "We're carol singers." And he said, "Come on in." And his parents were away, and he had all of his friends round. So these are all boys from the boys' school that we didn't know. We went to a mixed school, and we got this whole new group of friends of these boys. It was quite a time. It was quite good fun.
Well done.
That was through carol singing, yeah, that we met a whole new group of them.
That's hard.
Elisabetta, what do you do at Christmas?
I know carols via films. Yeah, so English and American films, of course, dubbed in Italian. But these carols entered via the television. It was not our culture. At midnight on Christmas Eve, we all went to the church. All the kids and the parents and the local community. I was living in a village of 356 people. And so we were all there. And there was nativity and all the candles, and the church was warm for the occasion, and there was the choir. And so we were singing together, but they were Catholic type of Christian songs, like Adeste Fideles. Adeste Fidelis, venite adoremus, venite adoremus. So that was magic. And then after church, and it was 1:00, we used to go in the houses and eat panettone or pandoro.
Do you, Rachel, do you now seek out opportunities to sing carols at Christmas? Do you go to church, or do you go to anything where there are carols playing to sing?
For many years I haven't, but then in the past couple of years, I've actually realised, I feel like I'm missing something by not being in an environment where there are carols. So actually my one experience generally once a year around Christmas time is my brother he was disabled and used to live in a care home, and they have an annual Christmas event where they sing carols. It's not in a church, it's in their community hall. And I would literally cry the whole way through. Yes. Because it's just so lovely, and it's done in a very kind of inclusive way, obviously. And I think it's partly what you said, it reminds me of childhood, but it's also just that I think carols are something that people can relate to. It's maybe is not easy to say exactly what it is, but I think there is that combination of joy and caring about other people there's something in it,
Yeah.
which is quite. And music, obviously, is a language that people can connect with.
Yeah.
But I wonder if there's anything like additional to that as well, whether there's like that kind of feeling drawn back to carols after a long gap, whether that says something about maybe what's going on now in the world, or is it age, or is that pull?
I think it's probably both of those things. I think I've done the same the last few years. I've sought out those opportunities to sing, which could be in a church, or could be. I've been to the Royal Albert Hall a couple of times for their carols, and I think, especially there's so many people, like a massive audience of people. They do loads of concerts, so
Singing along.
So I think it's being carols when you're singing with other people as well, when you're with a big group of people all singing together. I mean, I think choirs are like that generally anyway. Singing with other people is joyous.
Over Christmas, when all of these carols are being sung everywhere, what are you doing?
I'm thinking, oh my God, will you just stop? You send every year all these bloody songs. I'm a heathen. I'm a proud heathen.
No, the words to this one.
Your question about, is it specific about now? I think for me, definitely. I don't know whether it is because I'm getting older, but I think it's also just because I've got this sense of how the whole society in the UK and the Western world since post-COVID, there's nothing the same as before. And I feel like the sense of community, although people have sort of rebuilt it in a way, I still feel there's quite a lot missing that got lost in that time. And I just have this phrase going around in my head, which sometimes I think, I don't know whether to say it because it makes me feel like a really old person, but I just miss the old days. I do. And I think that's not why I sing carols, but I think I've got this sharp sense that something shifted because of the way society got changed through the pandemic. And I just I notice how people don't connect so easily anymore. And I think maybe that's why going to an event where people are singing carols maybe it appeals more, because it's one of those moments when people do actually feel more connected.
Jesus Christ our Saviour was born on Christmas Day to save us all from Satan's power when we had gone astray. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy.
Hi, I'm Timandra Harkness. Carols are a really important part of Christmas to me. In fact, Christmas doesn't feel complete unless I've gone to sing carols somewhere. So even though I've never been religious, I always go to a carol service, usually at St. Bart's the Great these days, because singing the carols somehow connects me to that part of Christmas where universal questions like the birth of a new human being, bringing hope of a new start and light in the middle of winter, take a particular form, which is the form of the culture that I grew up in. When my mother was alive, we always used to listen to the Festival of 9 Lessons and Carols on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. And in fact, my favourite carol, this was tricky because I love so many of them. My favourite carol is The Holly and the Ivy, because it's got a kind of earthiness to it. And we sang it at my mother's funeral because she really loved carols and Christmas, but was not at all religious. So I figured it was the least religious carol that people would know enough of to be able to sing. Shall I sing you a bit of it? The holly and the ivy, when they are both full grown, Of all the trees that are in the wood, the holly bears the crown. Oh, the rising of the sun and the running of the deer, the playing of the merry organ, sweet singing in the choir.
Thank you for listening to Arts First. You can subscribe for free and listen to all of our episodes at our Substack website. You'll find that at artsfirst.uk. There you'll find relevant links, images, programme notes and other resources, and of course our donations page. You don't have to sign up for access, but if you do, you'll be kept informed of new episodes and articles as they come out. You can also listen to episodes on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and on our YouTube channel. If you like what we do, enjoy our podcasts, agree with some of our concerns on freedom of expression in the arts, for example, then we'd really appreciate any support, ideas and feedback. Tell your friends, share our episodes, sing our praises on social media. But for now, many thanks and we'll see you next time. Thank you for listening to Arts First. You can subscribe for free and listen to all of our episodes at our Substack website. You'll find that at artsfirst.uk. There you'll find relevant links, images, programme notes and other resources, and of course our donations page. You don't have to sign up for access, but if you do, you'll be kept informed of new episodes and articles as they come out. You can also listen to episodes on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and on our YouTube channel. If you like what we do, enjoy our podcasts, agree with some of our concerns on freedom of expression in the arts, for example, then we'd really appreciate any support, ideas and feedback. Tell your friends, share our episodes, sing our praises on social media. But for now, many thanks and we'll see you next time.